hello. Played guitar there in the beginning just to allow you to set your your speaker level, so perhaps the guitar doesn't sound too loud for you. We'll try to give you a lesson today, and as the title will suggest, it's about pentatonics and making the most use you can out of your pentatonic scale for beginners that are kind of just getting into the pentatonics and maybe having someone give them some basic instruction like I got in the beginning that left me kind of stuck in a box. So let's get right to the point here. The box I was stuck in is this box right here. In the beginning, I learned 5 different shapes of pentatonics. And I noticed that most rock and roll songs I could get by putting this in the right place, and you could figure out most of the solo by using this shape and maybe adding on the bottom of this shape too, and you could cover most of the solo that way. So great, but the problem was when it came time to make any of my own music or anything like that, I was always just playing in this box, and it was boring, and I didn't know anywhere else on the fretboard and how to take a pentatonic scale and make use of it across the entire fretboard, how to make my entire fretboard pentatonic. And learning 5 shapes individually like this doesn't really do it. At least it didn't for me. So the first problem with learning these 5 individual shapes is it's 5 pieces of memorization. And that's harder than just one piece of memorization, or perhaps 2 pieces of memorization. So the way I know it now is just simply 2 bits of information. And the second problem I had is learning these individual boxes like this gave me the idea as a young person who didn't know any better that these were 5 separate places to be, and why would you be there? When would you be there? And how do you get there from here? How do I get there from here? Without it's just, and these were all on those lined, older style non-graph paper type of diagrams where you just show the circle in between the frets. So that never showed me these patterns or the idea that this wall of notes is this wall of notes. So if you're playing this shape, you're halfway in this shape, and if you play this shape, you're halfway in this shape, and on and on and on. The shapes were all connected, and it just didn't really occur to me every time I played. Now it's time to go to a new shape. So, I couldn't play like that, just trying to play, and it would be like, sounds good because I guess I got a good guitar tone going, but just didn't really give me a way to kind of, and I'm probably using more of what I know now to make the pentatonic sound interesting. Back then it wasn't working, so what I know now is a little different, and I'll show you. I guess let's move this page down like this. I'm running out of pages, graph paper here, so we'll make more use of one page. Your pentatonic scale is basically comprised of 2 separate units. And one unit is this 4 square of notes, and then the other unit is this 6 square of notes right here. Which is actually, this is missing one of the notes, and this has all the notes plus a double. There's the octave shape right there when you have this one and that one. So you can do this with both shapes. Today I'm going to teach you using this shape is going to be our favored shape today. And what to know about this shape is the way it links up to itself, and just knowing that shape, you have all the notes of the pentatonic, so you kind of are playing this shape without realizing it. And they link together in a certain way. So once you're in this box, you're connected to every other box on the fretboard, leaving you a way to get by. Couple missed notes in the very ending there, but I had to bend to get the final notes, which were off this limited fretboard on this more basic style 21 fret Strat kind of guitar, homemade guitar, as seen on my Budget DIY build your own guitar channel. It's called Budget DIY Guitars, but it's very old, updated channel because I just don't have the funds or the time or the supporters to make all that happen. So, anyways, consider supporting at some point. Let's get on with the jazz here. What we got is this shape here, and how I played it all across the fretboard was knowing this kind of little secret here where, let's get a new page. Let's start up here. Let's kind of start, I guess, right here. You can make yourself a little note for yourself. Basically, that square right there. The magic is here. There's a sandwich involved. It's always 3, then 2, then 3. So you always kind of just consider the 3 notes. In the middle, there's 2 notes, and then the bottom, there's the 3 notes, which are the same. Well, these notes link up. So, in essence, these notes are these notes. So then you have your, stands to reason, you'd have your 1, 2 there, and then you would have your third thing there, but remember the after 4 strings on the guitar, the B string trumps over 1, so we have to go here and here, and since we have 2 there, we have 3 here, and 3 here is always on the top. Now, so basically what that just got you is a whole span of, how many frets is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 frets. You're almost at the octave, nearly completing your guitars. It's octave span, so. So, I don't know if you heard the missed notes there, but that was at the end. But anyways, starting back on the G, 3rd fret, top string, slid in. Now I've got my square. My square is actually a slide. The bottom level is actually slide up. Play another square, which is just the middle sandwich, and then the shift, which is the so you can think of it as like an Oreo cookie, where you have the outer shell, middle center, and the outer shell. So middle center, outer shell, and you always have the wherever you start. Now, how do we take this further with just some simple, very simple memorization? Well, for 2 things. As is above, so is below is always the rule on the guitar. So if we have 2 at the bottom strings here, remember this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strings of a guitar. We have the same 2 at the top. So obviously it's not this. We're in sandwich. Where are we if we only have 2? There's only one place we can be, in the sandwich. So, in the center there. So if we have a center, we have a sandwich shell on the bottom, or a cookie shell, or whatever the hell we're going to call it. I don't know. But notice this. The big deal here is this. Notice the pattern here. There's 3 and then 2, and then it's like a reverse pattern, upside down and reversed. You have 2, then 3. So can you memorize that? That and that. And this occurs at the shape you may be already familiar with if you learned this shape right here. I draw it right? Yep. I've given this box a name so that I can go from picturing this in my mind's eye to picturing this actual shapes in my mind's eye. Let's say I just suddenly have the urge musically to move straight down through there, then I know that I'm in this shape to do so. So hear it out. Let's hear it all. I'm going to start from here. I'm going to get up to here, and then I'm going to play straight down. So, that was embarrassing, live on camera here. Let's try that again. Anyways, so I went up, and then I went here, and then I went back down. I was a little bit jumbled around here, but overall, when you get to this 4 notes right here, and I'm going to go down this shape right here. And I can start moving up from here. So from here, it's the same thing. We've got an outer shell, so we must have a sandwich there. And then a outer shell there. Now, if you realize this box of notes here, that's your right in there. When it's mounted in this position, you're in your classic minor blues pentatonic. And anywhere outside of this shape is the 4-note shape. So look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. The larger 4-note shapes with the 4 empty notes in between. Kind of neat, huh? So like at the top here, it would just be obviously that note, but that'll come up in a second. As I said, playing these notes in this way automatically gets you playing these other notes here. You're just not playing over them. So like as if you were... I played okay, so once you have gotten there, you got the string shift there. So instead of going straight down for another perfect cookie, you got to shift your cookie over, have the center slipping out of the side, and then you're over to the middle part and another 3 outer shell slide there. So when you got the outer shell slide there, as is above, so is below. So you're 1, 2, 3, and look where you are again. You're back where you started. Oops, sorry, we're a little off camera there. You're back where you started. So once again, you're at your... And then you can learn for yourself, like at which position, what actual shape are you in when you're in this style thinking mode that gets you all the way across the fretboard. For example, this is your minor blues. So let's mark that out, that you already know your minor blues shape. right? Where all that classic, most common riffs come from. All your classic blues stuff out of that box, right? So then you have your other box here. I guess we'll use another color there. So this will be multicolored, but you can see this box right there. What about when you're next door? I call this the odd box. I give these a name, so I call this the pivot box. Because this shape right here, is one of the only shapes that doesn't have the whole sandwich in it, the whole cookie, right? This is the cookie. Basic shape we've been dealing with. This one has it split at the top and the bottom, but it also has that flip shape that we talked about earlier, that once you're right here, if you put that middle piece on top, you know, oh yeah, I'm in the slide, now I'm in my blues box. Oh yeah, cool. And I slide up, and I've actually got the full cookie here. It's just over the break. We call that string shift the break. So you've got it right there, right there. So, but this box was just one this was the hardest box in the beginning. I just never memorized it. It was something confusing about it. I could play in here just as well. Why the hell would you ever even consider this box? I just never learned it. So I give this box shape, call it the odd box. I'll give that a little, so we can just kind of see it. It's this shape right here. Give it its own little markers there. That shape right there. Let's call this the odd box. So we've got our pivot, our blues. This is our standard. Because I also use this one. If you mount your chord that you're playing here, make it a minor chord, it's minor blues. If you mount your chord here and make it a major chord, like you can picture a G shape right there, like the G open chord, makes it major. So this is, why this is the standard one, because you can use that to make it easy major and minor. Quickly grab it on your fretboard when you need it. So we're calling this one the blues standard. This one is the pivot. This one is odd. I call this one the shift. Why? Because I think it's got this funky, cool little, the four. I always remembered this one because it's always got that part where we'll call that the four box. So when I say four box, I mean the part of the pentatonic that's the other part that's this shape, the four box. Why? Because it spans 4 frets, but it's still kind of a box. That's broken. It's over the shift, so it's got that weird section. Then it's got the standard cookie over the top. So this was always a real easy shape to just kind of know. So, yeah, I just call that just give it your own name. I call it the shift. So I know where that, once I'm sliding up and into that box, I know I'm into shift. So once again, there's shift. And then from here, this box here, I call the Aeolian pentatonic, because it just kind of... Anyways, it's got this box at the top. Let's draw it out here just so you can see it by itself without the clutter of that initial... yeah, so we got the box happening here. It breaks there. So once again, this has got the standard cookie in it. So That's why that one gets called the pivot. Where's pivot? Pivot's here. Yeah, pivot. So the reason I call it the Aeolian is because it's got the 4 box on the very top, and the only shape, minor blues or minor scale shape in the major scale that has that shape is the Aeolian scale, which is this. I played it as a major scale, but so if I start here. Now notice, to make it sound, to take it back from the way I originally just said that I made it sound major, because I ended on the major root, is I played a minor chord, the corresponding A minor chord, and then that turned the same pool of notes into sounding minor, because that's what I wanted to express to you. So just that goes to show you how I always say it's the chord that makes the mode, not necessarily the scale that you're playing. Since all the modes come from one parent scale, then what makes the scale sound modal? It's the root note, and especially if you turn that root note into its proper chord, major or minor, it becomes the essence of a mode. So I call that Aeolian for that reason. If you add in this note, I'm going to put X's where we added in a note so you can see it clearly. And there, it becomes a 7-note scale. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. The reason that ends up sounding major, even though I started on the A minor, it sounds minor in the beginning, but then it ends on the C note right there, which is this is your 1 of a major scale, and this is your 6th note. So when you start on the 6th, it's the minor 6 chord note, Aeolian, but we're pivoting, we're kind of working back. We start working back from the 1, and that suggests to our ear, oh, we're playing from the 1. That's what we hear. We're saying, oh, 1. Sorry, I don't know. I was just trying to make somebody thinking of a. It's all in my mind and probably not in yours, so you're wondering what the hell's going on here. But anyways, you start working from the 1 backwards, and that suddenly kind of gives it the idea that we're playing from the 1 and gives it a major sound. And then you end up on the 1, and it sounds nice and major because it's major. But anyways, watch my other videos about how to, where the scales come from and how it all works, and you'll understand all that if you're coming at this lesson from out of the blue, which happens a lot on YouTube. Suddenly it shows up in your feed and you watch it and you go, what the hell am I watching? That's what I've taught before. So I'm speaking like for people that have watched my videos or just happen to know that for themselves already. But anyways, so back to pentatonics. Yeah. Just using this kind of concept can turn your pentatonics into like a whole fretboard of playing versus just trying to sound minor and bluesy in that basic minor blues box that you may know. So that's pretty much the gist of this lesson. I'd ramble on about it more and more and more because it's fun to do, but then it looks like a 20-minute lesson unless people click on it because people like 10-minute lessons that tell them things. So I don't know how long this has been. It's probably been 20 minutes. So we're going to leave you with that. Hopefully I'll get the title corrected. I didn't do that on my last few videos, and they are now titled about something the video isn't even talking about. So we got to go change that, and we'll leave you with that today. I was basically, if you've watched my latest lessons, also, you'll notice something about me being in a van, and I'm trying to improvise my lessons, and it's harder to do. That's because I have a job delivering freight. I'm usually out on the roads, and still trying to populate this channel with videos. And today, I just happen to be home and for a day. And while I'm home, it's so lucky to be here because I really am never home. In the last week, I've been to Bismarck, North Dakota, hightailed it down to Georgia. Yeah, way across country, or actually Minnesota to Georgia. And then Georgia is going up to Ontario, Canada, and on the way to Ontario, since it delivers on Monday, I get to be here today, sleeping in my warm bed, which is nice. So, that being said, I had an opportunity, so I wanted to take it to get on the get one of these lessons down, and this is what was on the top of my mind today. So I thought, all right, Pentatonics will be it. That being said, how about your blue note? Where's your blue note? I'll tell you a couple other things before I go home. Take this into 30 minutes. Why not, right? Your blue note. In your sandwich, your blue note's always going to be in the very top, right here. And so, anytime you're there or you're in your sandwich, your outer shell, the the right hand side of your outer shell is or the top of the cookie is the uh, blue note, which is this note. That being said, though, you have the choice of also making. I should do a second video on this because this is another long topic here. But there's your blue note, and as you heard, it makes an extra, gives it, kicks the pentatonic up a notch, so you can makes it from the. That's why we call it the blues scale instead of, or well, takes a standard pentatonic and turns it into the blues scale. That's why I use that one as, and I call it the standard and the blues scales because that's where I know my blue note is right there. That's also the same thing as being right here, which is where I was playing it a little bit, sliding from there to there, from there to there. So now, what about these other notes? Let's do some simple math here. A pentatonic scale is 5 notes, right? Okay, so when we have 5 notes, if we have 12 notes total, how many does that leave us? That leaves us with 7, because 7 plus 5, or 5 plus 7 equals 12. So we have 7 notes. If we have a pentatonic scale, we have 7 notes that are unused. What makes, basically, how many kind of, there's a blue note, which is like this extra note that you can add in, right? How come you can't add in these other notes, the other 6 notes? That takes up one of them. What about the other 6 notes? Okay, well, here's the deal. Here's why there are 2 more accessory notes, but there aren't 6 more accessory notes. And this is my explanation for that. And it happens to occur in between this magic box of the pentatonic scale right here. There are how many notes in between here? What do you know? There's 4 notes in between here. And how many notes do we need to get to 7? 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need another 3 notes. Well, guess where those other 3 notes are? They're in between your sandwich, your cookie. So the middle notes in between there are your other. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are the 7 unused notes when you are playing a pentatonic scale. So the deal is, when you want to turn how many notes are in a regular scale? Okay, so we don't use all 12 notes. There's our 7 notes make up a regular scale, right? So what's the, basically 7 minus 5, if we're using 5 of those as a pentatonic scale, how many does that leave? That leaves 2 notes that are, what was I going to say? Oh, all you need is 2 notes to turn a 5-note scale pentatonic. How many? Okay, this is what I want to say. If you want to turn one of these pentatonic scales into a regular scale from the major scale, how many notes do you need? You need to add 2 more notes. Well, those 2 more notes occur in between these boxes here. So I can add these 2. Let's say I started. I'll draw something here for you. So we got the 4 square box, and I have this note here. So I would have the. I drew this somewhere else actually. Let me just try to show you where I drew this before and see if it'll come up. Here it is. Okay. So if I use, here's like, you can see the 4 notes right here. So if I use, where's the other one? I guess I only did, oh, there it is. Okay. So here's the 4 outside notes. I'm just trying to circle those, highlight them. So there's that bottom of the pentatonic. If I consider this note to make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now we're talking about adding some of these gut notes in. If I add these 2 notes in here, it makes the 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see it's part of the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So, and since that 5 is the lowest note, that would actually, you're kind of got a Mixolydian kind of thing going there. Okay, so if I put a 6th, consider that my 6th note. So let's say this was, let's not get too deep. Anyways, 6, if I use these notes, first of all, let me outline the outline square there, the major 4 box of the pentatonic, and I add in these 2 notes on this side, it also makes a scale. In this particular example, it's 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I'm saying is that these notes don't work as like a special note for your pentatonic, because adding these notes in is beginning to add in actual scale notes. You're turning your pentatonic scale into a actual scale by adding one of these notes in. Okay, so there's a potential in this box of 4 for any of these to be scale notes. Either it's going to be on these two, or even there's the combination of one and the other, and that still makes up a scale. In this particular, if you use these notes in the beginning, then you've basically made this low note a 2, 2 for Dorian, your 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. So if that note, let's say it was an E, so you played an E minor chord because Dorian is minor, and you're going to have basically you've plugged in that small amount of notes, Dorian. So make that, whatever note you choose, make that a minor chord because 6 is minor, then you'd have a whatever minor Aeolian sound because 6 is Aeolian, 5 is Mixolydian, dominant 7th, so make whatever note you chose, dominant 7th chord, and play that root note here and use this pattern, and you would have a Mixolydian little box there. So that being said, the reason that these are used, and by the way, in case you're thinking, hey, what about if I took that 4 square and use these notes this pattern that we didn't use, add in this note, and then this note. Interestingly enough, that would be the bottom of a melodic minor pattern. You can if you check out the melodic minor scale, you can see that erupts as a pattern. So anyways, not anything we need to get confused about today. So all those notes add in to make scale notes. So you're suggesting a scale when you use those. That's why they don't necessarily work as blue notes, because you're suddenly going scalar, and it's either going to make sense or it isn't, and so that's why those don't work. So the notes that do work left over are the 4, 5, 6, 7 are the 3 in between the square box here. Now We're calling these the gut notes, right? Because they're the guts inside the box. So inside this pattern that we've been dealing with today, where the sandwich sticks out here and sticks out there, you've got this note, and this note. And we've already discovered that this is the blue note right here. So basically, you really now only have, are these two other notes, what can they be used for? And those are those aren't the blue note, but you can consider those like the green and yellow note, because listen to this. I'm going to riff around in a pentatonic scale. It's getting kind of boring from there. Let's do some more. There I used what we'll call the yellow note, which was in the middle here. I created some jazz spice there by playing that note. If you use it just right, like I did, is like a little bit of a tensioner to the root note. So that's how that one can work. So now you've got the blue note and this little tensioner note. And then this one can sort of do the same thing. So see, I couldn't, didn't work because I tried to land on it and it was just sounded wrong. But if you use it in the middle of your line, I made some use of it there. So these are your special spice notes. You have your well-known blue note there. Your kind of unusual, use it once in a while to jazz things up. As soon as things get boring, put that in there. And then if you really want to take your outside choices to the extreme, try experimenting with this one. The reason why this one is so extreme is because you're already using the one next to it as the blue note. So once you start using this one, it's kind of like you're using all the notes in a row, and that's just getting chromatic. And then it's it almost starts to dull the sound of your pentatonic endeavor, because you're just going chromatic. You're just using every note at that point, and then it doesn't sound as, when you're not using every note in the scale, but you're getting chromatic in a row of notes, and so it kind of blurs the steps to the listener's ear, unless you're just got it sparingly in one spot. So you can't use it together with the blue note because it's just getting too many wrong notes, too many outside notes at once. But if you use it very, very, very sparingly, you can use this one a little less sparingly, and you can use this one quite a bit as a, that's why it's called the blue note. So there you go. Minor's pentatonic plus blues plus accessory notes there. How to jazz up your pentatonic scale. Take it all across a fretboard and make it fruity. All right, we will talk to you soon. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Give me some feedback in the comments below. And yeah, have a great day. See ya.